All right. Again, welcome, you guys. So my name is Paige Seanor, and I, along with Dr. Pollock, Professor Riley, and Dr. Tew-Washburn, and my co-host and admissions specialist, Nicole Barnhill, will be presenting today the College of Education's virtual graduate fair, the Master of Science in Counseling and Psychology. Master of Science in Counseling and Psychology will prepare you to excel in any area of counseling that you choose to go into. At Troy, we offer all kinds of different concentrations. You know, you can help military populations, those with addiction issues, so much you can do with one of our counseling and psychology degrees. So again, my name is Paige Seanor. I've been at Troy for almost 8 years now. It'll be 8 years in September. I'm an admissions counselor and a recruiter for the Savannah, Georgia, and Low Country areas. I'm a 2018 alumna of Troy Online. And then this afternoon, I'm also joined by Miss Nicole Barnhill. Nicole, you want to just say hi?
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole, and I am a graduate admissions specialist for Troy Online and support sites. I graduated from Troy in 2016, and I'll graduate again in this December. And I've been with Troy for 3 years.
Yay!
Thank you all for having me.
Thank you, Nicole. And I'm also so proud that we are joined today by 3 incredible members of our Troy faculty presenting this afternoon on the program. They are from a few of our sites across the Southeast. So first up's going to be Dr. Lesley Riley. She's an associate professor in our CRIT, which is our Counseling, Rehabilitation, and Interpreter Training Department. She's an LPC in private practice for 12 plus years. Dr. Riley, you just want to say hey real quick?
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hey. Then next up, we've got Dr. Sandra Pollock. She's an associate professor and assistant division chair also with CRIT. She's an LMHC in private practice for 30 plus years. Dr. Pollock, you want to say hey?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining.
And then we have Dr. Suzanne Tew-Washburn, again, an associate professor with CRIT. She's been doing community rehabilitation counseling consultation for 30 plus years. Dr. Tew-Washburn, you want to say hi? Oh, you got to unmute yourself. There you go.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Yes. All right. So I'm now going to hand things over to Dr. Pollock to get us started, and she is going to go over all of the program overview with you guys, and this is just a brief overview of our agenda. We're going to go over career options, history of Troy, admission requirements, important deadlines, tuition, and financial aid information. And now, Dr. Pollock, take it away. Oh, you got to unmute yourself for me. You're okay.
That's right.
Yes.
So myself, along with Dr. Riley and Dr. Tew-Washburn, are going to talk to you briefly about the program overview and career options. And then I guess we'll also be fielding questions from the chat box. So we offer the counseling program on all 10 campuses. We have 4 located in Alabama and 6 located outside of Alabama. One of those is in Georgia, where Dr. Riley is based. And then we also have 5 Florida locations, which you see listed there. The 2 programs we're going to briefly discuss today is we have a clinical mental health counseling program and also rehabilitation counseling. The clinical counseling program is 60 hours, 20 courses. And this is what you would take if you plan on being a licensed counselor when you grow up. It is a CACREP accredited program. Rehabilitation counseling prepares you to be a certified rehabilitation counselor, also CACREP accredited. I found my face here. We have an accelerated program with 9-week terms. And if you go full time, you can often complete it in about 2.5 years. Although you do have the option of going more slowly if that works with your lifestyle. Dr. Riley and Tew-Washburn, anything you'd like to add to that?
No,
No?
not
Okay.
yet. Thank you.
Oh, not yet. Okay, we'll move along. So this is just what the curriculum would look like. These on the left would be your core courses, and then these would be the additional courses that make up your 60-hour or 48-hour programs. As I said, we do have it. This is an in-classroom program, in-classroom K-CREP program, which frankly, almost all of our students prefer. Although we do have some classes, some of our content classes are offered in a blended format, which means most of it would be in classroom, but also utilizing some online work, discussion board, et cetera, as well. Okay. This is just an example. If you broke down behavioral health providers by field, this is an example of what you would see. And so you'd see that counselors really make the bulk up of when we look at behavioral health providers. And I want to also point out that while marriage and family therapy is a separate degree and a separate license, licensed counselors can work with couples and do family counseling. There's also a way to get licensed without having that specific master's degree once you've graduated and been practicing. So what can you do? Why do this? Well, doing the clinical program makes you eligible to be licensed. What that means is once you graduate with your MS degree, you have to work a minimum of 2 years under supervision in the field, but that is working. You're working a job, you're getting paid for that. And you also have to pass a state exam. Where can you work? What can you do? Well, certainly one thing that is wonderful about this field is that there are a variety of options where you can work, including agencies, substance abuse agencies, hospitals or behavioral health hospitals, even schools. While we know many schools have school counselors, a lot of schools also employ or have contracts with people who provide mental health counseling in the schools. So you can do all of that. You can work with individuals, couples, and families. And you can also open a private practice. So once you are licensed, you can get on insurance panels, you can bill insurance just like physicians can. And so you can open your own private practice, which a lot of our students like to do or like to look at doing part-time. Almost all of our students have no problem getting employed. And if you do happen to go job hunting just for fun, you will see a lot of places request and prefer K-CREP accredited graduates. K-CREP accreditation is really a benchmark for our field, and it also streamlines the licensing process. And I'm going to take a pause and see if Dr. Riley wants to add on to that. And then, of course, Dr. Tew-Washburn would be our expert on the rehab.
Yes, I just would like to add regarding the range of settings that counselors work in, agencies, hospitals, schools. One thing about the program is that many of our students actually identify potential employment after they've completed their internship. So, for example, I teach a internship course now, and one of my students has already been hired on. She's completing her internship, but she's also been hired as a full-time counselor under supervision. So there is many of those opportunities are actually established during the training portion, which is the practicum and internship portion of the program.
That is an excellent point, Dr. Riley, and that happens with our students often as well. You know, it's a perfect way for an employer to check you out and really see the quality and level of your work. And then it can be a seamless procedure getting hired into your company or agency. And I will say, when we go out, we interview all of our internship sites, and we always hear strong accolades about the clinical level and quality of our students out there in the field, even when compared with other local universities. So I'm always proud of our students, as I'm sure you guys are too. Okay, Dr. Did you have anything else, Dr. Riley?
That was it for me.
Thank you. Dr. Tew-Washburn?
Okay. I'll go ahead and comment too as far as the internship. It's very, very important with rehabilitation counseling too. Almost all the students that get the best jobs in voc rehab are getting them from their internship sites. So it's very, very important. I did want to point out that our program is a vocational rehabilitation counseling program. And by that, I mean that we work with adults and youth with disabilities, and we focus a good bit of our effort on employment, either helping the individual get to work for the first time or helping them get back to work after an injury, or perhaps helping them transition into a different field, something that's more appropriate for them at the present time. When you graduate from our program, you are eligible to become a certified rehabilitation counseling. You pass after you pass a national exam. And again, that's a national certification. So wherever you go, from state to state, you take that certification with you. Lots of opportunities to work in vocational rehabilitation. Work in community rehab centers, our programs, Goodwills, Easter Seals, state vocational rehabilitation offices, Veterans Administration, some private for-profit rehabilitation, and also there's some opportunities and programs for students with disabilities at universities and colleges. But basically, rehabilitation counselors can work with youth and adults with disabilities in a lot of different settings, and also work very closely with their families. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Washburn. And just to finish up with this slide, as I mentioned, this is an accelerated program. So going full-time, which we consider 2 classes a term, you could finish in about 2.5 years. We do have some students who choose to extend that, and that's really based on what your personal needs are. Our classes are offered on weekends and evenings, so it would be either 1 evening a week for the 9-week term, or on weekends, which would be either 2 or 3 weekends during the term, depending on the format the faculty members teaching it, either 2 or 3 days on the weekend. Most of our students do work. Many of them have families, so we know that, and that's why our classes are evenings and weekends. Our tuition is very competitive and at state rates. And one thing I think that's particularly helpful is that a lot of our professors are still active in the field and have active practices. So I think that helps them really stay fresh and offer you real life examples from their practices in terms of it. I think it really can enhance their teaching. So here's some wonderful outlooks from the Occupational Outlook Handbook, as well as voc rehab agencies. And so first, looking at mental health and substance abuse counselors, and you can see Job Outlook looks very, very good, and as well as rehab counseling. Job Outlook strong, salary strong. And I think that's all for us, unless there are some questions right now.
Yes, if you have any questions, feel free to either type it in the chat box to your right, or you can unmute yourself right now and feel free to ask any of the professors any questions you may have. Anybody? No? Okay. So most of you are familiar with Troy.
Paige, Paige, I just have a quick, they, oh, it looks like there are a lot of questions.
Oh, wow, I just
they are also going to have our information, right, our email addresses and such.
Yes, everyone will be receiving a copy of the recording tomorrow, as well as a PDF of the actual presentation itself, which will have everyone's contact information in it. Mm-hmm.
Should we address Scott's questions right now?
Sure. Yes, ma'am. Do you want to read? You want me to read them out and y'all answer? Okay.
Yes, and I appreciate Dr. Tew-Washburn and Dr. Riley's help too.
No problem. So Scott just has some questions regarding clinical mental health, specifically in the Orlando site. One, are there any marriage and family therapy elective courses offered? If not, are some available online?
Well, part of the program, you have one course that is marriage and family and sex therapy. So that is part of the 60-hour program. But we do not have any electives that I'm aware of strictly in marriage and family. We do have play therapy. We do have counseling with children and adolescents. Those are both electives that you can take as part of your program. Do my colleagues have anything to add to that?
Those are the only electives that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Right.
He also asked, how long does the student have to complete the degree? As Dr. Pollock was saying, I mean, you can really stretch it out however long you
can stretch it out. I met with a student. Well, first of all, here's the bottom line: is the graduate credits start expiring after 8 years, right? So no one really, most students don't certainly go that long. But I met with a student yesterday to do her plan of study, which when you are going to Troy's counseling program, you get assigned a faculty advisor and you're in very, very close contact with him or her. So I met with a student online yesterday to do her plan of study, and she has a full-time job. She has 2 young children, a family, and a pretty full life. And she wants to go half-time. So that's fine. It's going to take her a little longer, but she'll still complete in less than 5 years. And that is absolutely her personal choice. So I would say the soonest would be 2.5 years, and you can stretch it out as long as you need be.
And his next question was, do the classes alternate from semester to semester between weekday, evening, and weekend? So I could kind of piggyback on this a little bit. First of all, we don't semester, we're terms. So it's 9-week terms. There's 5 in a year. We don't have any weekday, to my knowledge, at any of the locations that teach counseling and psychology, correct?
Well, weekday evening we do.
Right, but not weekday during the day, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, so it's going to be all evening and then a few weekend, and then those are going to just really depend on faculty availability each term, site availability each term. So really, I think most of the sites, you guys do have a schedule, right, of when you're offering each course. But again, that can sometimes be.
So let me do a little, let me explain that a second and then do a little caveat. All of our classes are offered term. However, practicum and internship are semester classes. So that's just the only little difference to that. And in terms of when they're offered, your faculty member early in your program, once you're admitted, if you sit down with them like you're supposed to, they map out to you what your program looks like over the next 2, 3, 4 years, however long you want to take. Because the faculty will know what course is offered when. So they help you kind of figure that out. They know what the prerequisites are and things like that. So you'll have a roadmap.
So his next question is the GRE required for applicants with an accredited master or doctoral degree? It's not. So if you're coming to us already with a master's degree, no test score is required. Nicole, you just want to piggyback on that and make sure I'm saying the right way?
You're correct. If you have a master's degree or higher, the test score is automatically waived.
Yes. All we'll just need is just the transcript showing that you do have your master's conferred. His next question is, what are the options for completing practicum and internship clinical hours?
I don't know if I understand this question exactly. Can you clarify, Scott? You mean where? Are you saying where do you do it, or
completing practicum? Maybe where? Yeah. Yes.
Where?
Yes,
okay, great. Well, it is the student's job to find a practicum and internship site. They're often the same. many students will just stay in the same site through the practicum and both internships. But we certainly, no need to apologize, Scott. We certainly will guide you and help you there. And I know in Orlando, I can't speak necessarily for Augusta or Dr. Tew-Washburn's program, but we certainly have sites that we use a lot, that we have students that have been tried and true. So we have places that we can direct you. If you have a site that you're particularly interested in, our clinical coordinator has to approve it, but that certainly can be worked out.
Yeah, it's very much the same and with the rehabilitation counseling clinical experiences as well. We do have certain sites that we tend to use a good bit. And also, a lot of times the student will have known of a different program and they're just particularly interested in looking at that area, and that's something that we can look at and get approved.
So we do have a couple more questions.
Yay, real good questions.
I know. So first one's going to be, I'm not sure who called but I have my master's degree in school counseling from an accredited university in New York. Will a lot of my previous courses meet the prerequisites for this master's?
Well, no.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but this is a KCREP program, and as such, you can't. I think it's 4 classes that you can.
It's 12 credit hours that you
12 credit hours.
transfer in.
Yeah, 4 classes. So we can help you decide which ones are. Some we don't let you transfer over at all, like the skills classes. But you would only be able to get 4 classes to transfer over, because it is a KCREP program. That's a KCREP rule. And actually, Troy is more liberal than even some other KCREP programs about that. Yes, we admit 5 times. We admit to every term 5 times a year.
Yes, Charlene, yes. We're always admitting students. We're always taking new applications. So whenever you guys are ready. Kayla says, if I start doing internship before graduate school, will it count?
So you have to do practicum and internship. There are requirements to get your master's degree. In order to get licensed, those internship hours happen after your master's. You have to be a registered intern. So you will do a minimum of 2 years after graduation. You have to accumulate so many hours, but the bottom line is you can't do it sooner than 2 years. So you have a minimum of 2 years that you will work under the supervision of someone.
Mr. G, if I wanted to get a head start on reading, is there a way to find out what books are required for each course before actually registering for the course?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have never been asked that question ever in my life. How about you, ladies? Well, certainly, I would say that once you get in and talk to your advisor, he or she would have an idea what textbooks are used, because most professors tend to use, the same ones, if that helps.
And then, Ms. Ebony, is a GRE required for Troy student to have a bachelor's in psychology? So once I give this little brief history of Troy for everybody, Ms. Nicole's going to come in with admissions. But yes, a test score is required. But like I said, Ms. Nicole will go over all of that.
Not the GRE, though, right?
No. Either the MAT, which I think is what you guys prefer, right? The MAT? Mm-hmm. Is there any more program-specific questions, though, before we keep going? You guys have really great questions. That was really good, yeah. Okay, so most of you guys are familiar with Troy, but just for those of you who might not be, I'm just going to give a really brief history. So Troy was founded in 1887. We were originally founded as a teaching college across the state of Alabama. People would come to Troy to be trained as teachers and receive their teacher certification. To this day, Troy's most awarded degrees remain in our College of Education. Troy University has a long-standing relationship with our military. We established our first site in the 1950s at Fort Rucker near Dothan, Alabama. That program was actually so successful that we now have the Dothan campus as a result. The university later expanded to what is known today as the 4 Alabama campuses, with our primary location being in Troy, but we also have the other 3, again, Dothan, Alabama, Phoenix City, Alabama, and Montgomery. So originally known as Troy State University, we became Troy University in 2004 to reflect Troy's worldwide mission to serve students across the globe. Today, we serve students and operate in over 20 locations across the Southeast outside of the state of Alabama, including on military bases internationally. Troy's network expands far beyond brick and mortar and holds a rich history in academic excellence. We are also SACS accredited, which is the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges, to award associate, baccalaureate, master's, education specialist, and doctoral degrees. So now I'm going to hand things over to Ms. Nicole, and she is going to go over the admissions requirements, which Ms. Ebony, we should get your question answered. So Nicole, you want to take it away?
Thank you, Paige. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nicole, like Paige said. So let's get started with the admissions requirements. I think I have it now. Okay, so for the counseling and psychology programs that we offer, there is a minimum GPA of 2.5. I believe on the next slide, we'll go over the two types of admission for this program. GPAs of less than 2.5 can still be considered for admission. This program does require a graduate test score unless, like we said before, you hold a master's degree or higher already when you come into the program. Really, the MAT is the one that most people for this program usually do and the one that they prefer. It's also the cheapest one to take. And the next requirement is going to be the 3 letters of recommendation. Now, these must be on professional or personal letterhead. They recommend that they don't really come from anybody that is like a friend or a family member. We can't really accept those. But really, if you have like a professor or a coworker, supervisor, those are really the best ones because they can attest to your abilities to do well in graduate school. The next requirement is going to be a resume. And these can all be emailed, the letters of recommendation, the resume. There's also a letter of intent that these can be emailed either to your admissions specialist, your enrollment coordinator, or some of the sites have a designated person on each site that these can go to because they're the ones who help set up interviews. Because you will have a department interview that will be set up specifically through your site, whichever one you're going to be attending, after all your other admissions documents have been submitted. So once you get the test taken, your letters of recommendation, all of those, then they will work with you to set up your department interview with the faculty.
Nicole, we do that actually during the first term of class.
Y'all do that during the first term?
Yeah.
Okay, that's even easier for students because you can get it all done during the first
class.
term. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first class. Okay, so the 2 types of admission that I was talking about earlier. So for unconditional admission, if you graduated from a regionally accredited school with a bachelor's degree, this does not have to be in psychology or counseling or anything. You submit all your official admission documents and you meet all the GPA and test score requirements. And then we also have what's called conditional admission for this program. These are students who they still graduated from a regionally accredited school. They've still submitted all their documents, but their GPA or their test score may not meet regular admissions requirements. And the only difference for conditional admission is that you have to maintain a 3.0 GPA after your first 3 courses, or you will be dropped from the program. And to graduate from this program, you do have to have a 3.0 overall anyway. So conditional, you really just want to pay extra close attention during the first 3 classes. One thing I do want to point out, this program also offers temporary admission. So as long as we have your degree conferring transcript and any transcript that you went to after your bachelor's degree, so say you took some graduate credits at another school, we will need that transcript as well. And as long as we have unofficials, we can give you what's called temporary admission. And this just means that you're going to be given a term, a full term to take classes, get your GRE or MAT taken, get your resume, get your interview done, all those sorts of things during your first term. So don't worry if you want to go ahead and get admitted and then you want to try to take the test. The test, though, I will say a lot of people ask, the test can take up to 6 weeks for us to get the score. So I wouldn't recommend waiting until the end of the term to take the test because we will need that before you can register for your additional classes the next term. So now we're going to talk about how do we apply. So we're going to go to enroll.troy.edu and you'll create a Troy graduate profile for this one. Once your profile is created, you'll be taken to the application screen and you can start a new graduate application. You can complete the graduate application and submit your payment, or if you're going to do it after this, before the 14th, you can use the promo code that we're going to give you at the end of the video. And you can upload some of the documentation to your admissions application portal. This is something new that we've recently started. So like the letters of recommendation, the resume, a lot of those can be uploaded yourself, or you can, like I said, send them to your admission specialist, or like Dr. Pollock was saying, they can take them during the first course when you get into the program. Now, for the FAFSA, you do not have to be an admitted student to complete your FAFSA. You can go ahead and do this while you're trying to get admitted, and for starting in term 1, which is our August term, you'll want to begin filling out the 2021 FAFSA, so be sure to pay attention to what year you're filling out, and that way once you get accepted, you can already have that, and financial aid can sort of quickly get you going with getting everything lined up if you're using financial aid. And then your acceptance letter will always come through your email. So always remember to check your email because that's our main form of communication with our students. Okay, next let's talk about Canvas. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with Canvas. This is our learning management system, which is a virtual platform for our students. This is how students take online courses, and it's access to information for their blended hybrid format courses. This includes all your assignments, your exams, discussion boards is a big one, your class announcements from your instructors. Most other courses related, they can be found in Canvas as well, and it also has an easy-to-use mobile app. I do use that one, and it is pretty easy and pretty much like the desktop version. And I will say that also when you get admitted, you'll be assigned a student services associate. And they will also be in every class that you take, there will be an ASA assigned to each course. And if you ever have questions that necessarily aren't for your faculty advisor, you can always ask your student services advisor. And they can be asked through Canvas as well.
Dr. Nicole, before we move on, Dr. Pollock, Dr. Riley, Dr. Tew-Washburn, did y'all want to piggyback on anything about Canvas, about how you guys utilize it in class or anything?
We do utilize it for all of our classes, even the ones that are on-site, face-to-face classes. It's a really great organizational tool. I think students like it as well as faculty too.
Yes, but it's a great organizational tool. We post our syllabi there, and weekly announcements, so it's kind of like the class hub. So very nice tool.
Mm-hmm. Also, if you've never used Canvas before, don't worry because on our website they do have video tutorials of going through how to use Canvas and things like that. And it's fairly simple, so if you haven't ever used it, don't fret about that.
Thank you, guys.
So next we're going to talk about our important deadlines coming up. For term 1, which I mentioned is our August term, the application deadline is July 31st of this year, and classes will begin on August the 10th. Term 2 is, the deadline is October 2nd, and classes start on October the 12th. And term 3, December, Paige, do we know what day?
I didn't have the December or the January, but it's almost always, y'all, like Christmas Eve. It's always like right before Christmas, and it's usually that first Monday in January.
But I will say the deadlines for the application, if you kind of talk to a recruiter or someone and you happen to miss a deadline, just talk to them because it may be possible for us to still get you in for the next term. This just gives everybody time to submit the documents needed and for us to review you for the term coming up. Okay, for tuition and financial aid, Now, this is a little bit misleading at times. Our in-class tuition is $330 per credit hour. It's $990 per course because each course is usually 3 hours. We do have a corporate partners percentage off of tuition. You can either go onto our Troy website to learn about our different partnerships, or you could just ask your employer if they happen to be one of our partners. Also, for the sites, we do have in-state tuition. So you'll be treated as like an in-state student instead of an out-of-state student. So if you ever look on the website, please don't fret and worry about that because you will be treated as an in-state student.
All right. Well, that's all that me and Nicole and Dr. Pollock, Dr. Riley, and Dr. Tew-Washburn had. Does anyone have any more questions that we didn't get around to? I know a couple of our Troy people, if you guys can see in the chat, we do have some of our other admissions counselors from the sites who did have the correct dates. So it's going to be December 18th for term 3 deadline, and then term 3 actually begins on January the 4th. And Miss Stacy Hutto, who heads up our partnerships, she's based out of Atlanta. She also posted the link to our partnerships page in the chat box. So if anyone has any questions about maybe if their employer is one of our partners, feel free to go to that webpage and just search it and see if they are. I'm also going to plug in real quick a little just a quick little survey. If you guys wouldn't mind taking it, we greatly, greatly appreciate it. And then we did have one question from Kayla. What are the deadlines for assistantship/fellowships? I'm thinking she means internships.
I know at the Georgia and Florida campuses, we don't have student assistantship. We don't have grad assistants, if that's what they're asking.
Kayla, is that what you were referring to, or were you thinking the actual internship itself? We'll wait for that. Yes, graduate assistantships. So we don't have any at the sites as of right now, right? Okay.
And we rarely have them in Alabama too. They're pretty scarce.
Okay, did anyone else have any more questions? From Dawn to be admitted.
I will say, I'm not sure if Kayla is asking that question in terms of, for financial assistance and stuff, but I will say that our faculty do work closely with our students. If there's research you're interested in joining in and participating in, or presentations and things like that, we do that on an individual basis.
Okay, and then Nicole, did you see Dawn's question? As a Troy graduate, do I still need to input information from a previous junior college? No, if you are a Troy graduate, we have all that stuff on file. Y'all don't worry about it.
Yeah, you don't have to submit. If you graduated from Troy and you did not attend a school after Troy, you won't have to submit any transcripts.
Mm-hmm. If there's not any other questions, y'all please take note of that code. It is good until Sunday, June 14th. You guys will also receive an email tomorrow afternoon with this recording, as well as a PDF copy of the PowerPoint and the code as well. Again, just so you guys aren't stressed about writing it down or screenshotting it or anything like that. One more time, any more questions before we get out of here? And you can feel free to unmute yourself if that's easier. No? All right. Oh.
Hey, Paige. I just wanted to say a quick hey to everybody. A few people interested in the Orlando site, but I wanted to say thank you guys for doing this WebEx. If any of you are from Orlando or in the Orlando area and interested in the program, I'm the enrollment coordinator here. I work with Dr. Pollock. And we have our new recruiter, Chin, with us. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm sure I've already been blowing you guys up with emails and blasts about that. So, but if anything, just feel free to reach out. And Dr. Pollock's always one step away from answering any questions.
Hello.
Hi there,
guys.
I know we also have, I believe, Miss Sylvie from Tampa. She's also a recruiter. If there's any other Troy recruiters out there who want to just say a quick shout out, if you guys do have the counseling program at your locations, feel free to now. Anybody? All righty. Well, if that's everything. Oh, wait. One last question. Are there any Troy locations in South Carolina? No, the closest one is going to be Augusta. Right, Dr. Riley?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
We have some students in South Carolina, actually.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys all have a wonderful rest of your day and a happy, safe, and healthy weekend. And thank you all so much for attending. And we hope to add you guys to our Trojan family. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.